Hi guys, Danielle back, Danielle's Homemade Products. I have a coat on today because, the little fluttery things, it's snow. And it's snowed to the point where it's coming in the breezeway. So it's cold as hell. I didn't sleep very well last night because I had this on my mind. So I figured I'd go ahead and just record it. And basically it's just, there are different ways to deal with your insecurities. There are different ways that I deal with my insecurities. Most of the time I just ignore them. And I know that seems counterproductive. But a lot of times, especially like when Sky was little, I didn't have time to think about that. I didn't have time because I was working full-time job, being gone 12 hours a day. And when I got home, I had a child to take care of. And I was also going to school online, of course, because that was the only way that I could manage it. So most of the time I was exhausted and just didn't have time to think of anything else. Another way that I've dealt with the insecurities is through my family. After my divorce, or I should say during my marriage, I had surrounded myself with my now ex-husband and his family so much that I had cut myself off from a lot of my family. I am from a very, very large family. And I know most people think, oh yeah, I'm from a large family too. No, I'm serious. There are cousins that I haven't seen in so long that I wouldn't recognize them. As a matter of fact, that actually happened a couple years ago. My uncle throws a Halloween party every year, and I was trying to get to the restroom, and he was trying to talk to me standing in the doorway of the restroom. I didn't care who he was. I just wanted him to get the hell out of my way so that I could go pee, because I had to pee really bad. And someone had asked me later on that evening who he was, and I was like, I don't know. He's got to be related in some way, shape, or form, because he looks like my grandfather when my grandfather was younger, and the pictures I've seen of my grandfather younger. I said, but I don't know who he is. And another one of my cousins piped up and told me who he was and kind of laughed and said, what, you didn't recognize him? And then he heard us talking and came over and was like, yeah, I tried to talk to you earlier. And I was like, dude, I had to pee. All I cared about was you were in my way. I wasn't wanting to have a conversation, then I was wanting to use the bathroom. So I do have a very large family, and I am blessed with having a very supportive and loving family. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to tell you what they're thinking. They're not going to, tell you they don't agree with what you're doing. Sorry, I'm trying to get a little bit more comfortable. That breeze is going up the back of my coat. By any means, no. I am from a very verbal, very blunt and in your face, but supportive and loving family. So once after my divorce and after I've lost the 2 babies, I got back in with my family, and you're talking, this was like back in 2003 when I was divorced. So, it's been 14 years now. So I'm very close with my family once again. And I realize how blessed I am to have them and to have such a tight group. And like I said, that doesn't mean that they're not going to tell you they think you're stupid for doing something or stop acting like an idiot. By any means, my family will be the first ones to step up and tell you, hey, you're being a dumbass, knock it off. And I regained my ability to think for myself at that point. Because at that point, I was then able to go, hey, that's not something I would have ever thought.
How's the rest of my coffee?
We had a bit of a party foul in the house, and this guy knocked my coffee over upside down, on accident. But I made a new cup. You can have yours. She's mad at me. She's been homesick the last 2 days, not feeling good, coughing, hacking, to the point where she's gagging and throwing up. So she's grumpy too, doesn't help. But she accidentally knocked a cup of my coffee. I just brewed it. I was getting ready to come out here and record this, and she knocked the entire cup over. So she's a little pissy right now. Sorry. But anyway, my family is very outspoken. They're very verbal. They're very in your face if they don't agree with something that you're doing. That doesn't mean that they're not going to back you. They're not going to be there for you. It really just depends on the situation, because there are certain situations my family is like, you're on your own. You have to face the consequences of whatever you've done. But it really just depends on the situation. I've been blessed, and I've never gotten myself into one of those situations, and I never plan to. because I don't ever want to be on that receiving end of having my family turn their back on me. That would be devastating. But yes, I am from a very large family. My mom is one of 8 kids. My dad is one of 15 kids. And yes, you heard me correctly, 15. Now, mind you, my dad's side of the family, my grandfather was married 3 times, I believe it was, and my grandmother was married twice. So it's, a mix of his, hers, and ours type thing. But in total, there were 15 kids. 2 of my grandmother's daughters died in infancy, and one of my uncles from my grandfather's side of the family, or my grandfather's previous marriages, passed away when I was 2. So of the 15 kids, there are only 12 living children. But still, that's still a lot of freaking family. And that's not including first cousins and great uncles and yeah, my family reproduces like rabbits, I swear to God. There are very few, I'm trying to think, I can only think of one aunt. Now, mind you, some of my aunts and uncles on my dad's side from my grandfather's previous marriages, I don't know very well. There's a couple of them that I have not met. They were not close to my grandfather at that point. I don't know why. It wasn't any of my business, so I've never asked. But there are some of them that I have not met. Of the ones that I have met, I only have one aunt that does not have any children. The majority of them have at least 2, if not more. And then again, I am one of the oldest grandchildren on my grandfather's side, or I should say my mom's side. One of the oldest. I do have a couple of them that are older than me, but not many. And I am, as far as I know, I'm one of the oldest on my dad's side of the family as well, but I was the first of my grandmother and grandfather's kids together. I was the first grandchild born. So I'm going to be 37 in April, if that says anything. And yes, I did just tell you my real age. I didn't pretend. So I've got lucky and got very close with my family. Now, when I was married, I didn't have really a whole lot of close friends, but I did have a very good group of people that I was friends with in high school. After my divorce, and my daughter was born. Actually, after my divorce, I met a couple of good friends that are still a part of what I consider my close group. I think it's just one now that I still stay in touch with. And, yeah, I had to think. It's been so long. But then once my daughter was born, she was a baby, my mother signed me up for MySpace while I was in the bathroom one day as kind of like a ha to me. So at that point, I went ahead and signed in, joined Facebook, and I reconnected with a lot of my old high school friends. And it was like no time had passed. That's another one of the ways that I handle my insecurities, is that I do surround myself with people who just think I'm amazing. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, they do, don't get me wrong, that's not what I meant. But I also surround myself with people who don't hold their tongue, I guess is the best way. If I ask them a question, I better be prepared to get the real answer. And if I can't handle the real answer, then I better not ask the question. And I've gotten to the point where I am that way as myself. Don't ask me a question unless you are prepared for me to be brutally honest. Because if you're asking, you're obviously not wanting me to hold your hand and tell you everything is going to be all right. You're asking because you really want me to be honest with you. And actually, one of my friends was speaking with her husband, and she had asked him something, and he's like, do you want me to answer like I'm your husband, or do you want me to answer like I'm Danny? And so it's kind of a running joke in our group now that, brutal honesty. And it's a matter of, are they trying to hurt your feelings with their brutal honesty? No. But they're making you aware of the truth, the unedited truth, whether it's what you want to hear or not. I wouldn't ask my friends if my butt looked fat in a dress unless I was prepared for them to say, no, honey, your butt's already fat. The dress just makes it look worse. That's just how my friends are. You've got to be prepared for that blunt, and trust me, they would actually say that. Probably in not quite a nicer way, but that's how we love each other, and that's just, the wind's cold, my ear's freezing. That's just how we are. They'll call me up and I'm like, well, no, you're being dumb. You know, you look at it from this point of view, look at it this way. And it just kind of is a nice way to get somebody else's perspective, knowing that regardless of what you're doing, I guess that's the best way I can think to say it. Regardless, it's an unconditional friendship and love. So whether they think I'm being a dumbass or I'm making the worst decision of my life, okay, that wind's cold. You know, whatever the thing is, I know that if I called them tomorrow, they would still answer the phone. And that's the bottom line. Okay, I'm going to actually light this now. Sorry. And like I said, I lost about 70 pounds. I wasn't doing anything special. I had lost my job because the weather here was just crap and I couldn't make it in. And so I wasn't going to work every day. I wasn't ordering takeout lunches every day or eating junk. I am very much a stress eater, which I'm working on, but it's, you know, not something that's going to change overnight. I ate out of boredom. You know, there were so many things in my life that I didn't feel like I could control, but I could control everything I ate. And it was more like a seafood diet. I saw it, so I ate it. And, you know, that's just sometimes how life is, you know. But you have to be realistic and honest with yourself before you can change those habits. So that's another thing. Another way that I've learned to handle my own insecurities is I have to be honest with myself. And I have to love myself. I might not like everything about me. I might not like that I'm, you know, a size 20, 22, somewhere around in there, because I don't even know anymore. But I still have to love myself. If I can't love myself, who else is going to be able to love me? If I'm not happy with myself, I'm never going to be happy in a relationship. Whether that means, you know, I'm perfectly content with everything about myself. No, that's not what that's about. You know, nobody is ever 100% happy with themselves, ever. You know, if you asked any woman, hell, even most men, if there was one thing about themselves they would change, I bet you every person would give you almost an immediate response, because there's always something we don't like about ourselves. But the difference is we still have to love ourselves and accept ourselves. That doesn't mean we can't change. That doesn't mean we can't improve. That doesn't mean we can't look for ways to make things different or better or whatever the case may be. Like my smoking, for example. You know, I would love to not have to smoke. You know, I would love to say I'm a non-smoker. I'm working on it. Trust me. It's one thing that I am working on, trying to get my stress levels under control so that I can quit without being a raging hormonal bitch. There's just no other nice way to say that. So pardon my language if you've got kids around. My daughter's heard it from a young age, so she's gotten used to it. But, you know, I'm not a drinker, and I'll correct myself. I drink on occasion. Very rarely do I drink. I do have alcoholics in my family, so it's something that I've seen from a young age. So I am not a very big drinker. I will drink on a rare occasion, usually if I am not the only adult around. You know, I don't have a beer. I don't like beer, period. I think it's gross, but that's just me. If you like beer, happy for you. You know, I'll have a glass of wine on a rare occasion if I'm home by myself, but majority of the time I'll have a drink if I'm hanging out with friends. That's usually about it. Knowing that we're not going anywhere, we're in for the night, no one is leaving, no one is driving, and that's just how we are. I don't tolerate drugs very much because to me that's just not okay. I've never been much of a partier. I've just never, it's not something that I care about, and I care for, I should say. Sorry, this wind keeps knocking my cigarette out. It's cold. But, you know, I've had to learn, and I feel like I'm slouching. Oh, that snow. It's weird because it's middle of March, and we haven't really had snow all winter. In the last couple of days, it has snowed here, and it just is not nice. I don't like snow. It's making my hands hurt and swell up, and it just makes me miserable. And it certainly doesn't help keep colds and crap under control, which is part of the reason I think Sky is sick right now. But, like I said, it's just a matter of it the biggest way that I deal with my own insecurities is to accept myself for the way I am. And like I said, that doesn't mean that I can't improve on what I have. That doesn't mean I can't change something about myself. I can go and change my hair color any day of the week just by getting a box of color from the freaking store. So I mean, it's not that I'm saying, okay, I'm okay with how I am, I don't need to change anything. No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just a matter of being able to love yourself, flaws and all, imperfections and all, and acknowledging the fact that you are aware of your imperfections and aware of your flaws, but are okay with them. You know, if I lose more weight, wonderful. If I don't, I wouldn't be, you know, I'm not going to do a jig if I don't, but I certainly am not going to beat myself up over it either. Would I love to lose more weight? Yes, and that is my plan and my goal, but I'm not going to starve myself to do it. I'm not going to put my health at risk to do it. I'm going to do it the right way. And, you know, like I said, I've joined the gym. I haven't gotten to go too much yet because we've just been sick. It seems like the last month somebody's been sick, whether it's me or Sky or Graham. One of us has not been feeling good for the last month or so. And, you know, I can eat healthier. I'm with my blood clotting disorder, I'm a dietitian's worst nightmare, which that alone would be a whole other video. But it's about having acceptance for yourself, for others, and just being okay in your own skin. It sounds a lot easier than it is. Trust me, it does. But it's something that we all need to learn how to do. We need to learn how to love ourselves. Even if we don't like ourselves at times or like aspects of ourselves. Like I said, you know, my inner tube around my waist, you know, that's not my favorite thing, but I still have to be able to love myself. So let me know in the comments below, how do you deal with your insecurities? What steps are you taking to change them? Or just what steps are you taking to learn to accept your flaws, your imperfections, your insecurities? So leave that in the comments below. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.